Are you looking for a way to scale your short-term rental business and buy more properties? Well, co-hosting might be the right fit for you. Welcome to the Co-Host Coach podcast with Joe Roney. This episode of the Co-Host Coach is brought to you by Savvy STR Agents. If you're looking to buy a short-term rental, then contact the STR Savvy Agent team at savvy.realty.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Co-Host Coach. I am Joe Roney, and today we are coming out of spring break. Spring break is finally over, and I want to talk a little bit about the ups and downs of spring break. And depending on your market, every market's going to be a little bit different, but specifically where I'm at in the Emerald Coast and Panama City Beach particularly, spring break is a really busy time. It is actually third busiest month behind June, July. March is definitely the third busiest month. We are just coming out of March, and it kind of goes into that first week of April, and then it starts to slow down a little bit. But, this year, I did things a little different this year for spring break than I did in the previous years, and I just wanted to kind of share some of the ups and the downs and the wins and the losses over that. Hopefully it'll help someone out there as you are planning and preparing for spring break. So, many people across the board talked about how spring break bookings were down a little bit this year. I can tell you that I even took my family to the beach for spring break, and it definitely was a little bit slower. We were able to get into one of the most popular restaurants on an evening at dinner time in 15, 20 minutes. Typically that would be like an hour. So it definitely felt a little bit slower this year for spring break, but it wasn't dead. And all of my properties performed very well. We probably performed, anywhere from 20 to 30% higher than the market overall. And one of the reasons is I allowed college kids into my properties. And I've done this every year for the last, 3 years that I've been co-hosting and owning properties. So this is our third full spring. It's been 3.5 years since I started this. So, we do allow kids under 25 to rent our properties. And I'm going to be honest, most of my college kids this year were better guests than my families. And part of that is because I set the precedent really clear up front. I put it in my listing to say, hey, if you're under 25, message me and we can talk about it. And then they'll message me and we'll have a conversation about it. And I'll ask them, where they're coming from, who's in their group. Give them expectations of how to treat my home and what they can and can't do, and obviously no house parties and no jumping off the roof, no stupid stuff, but more importantly about just be respectful. This is our home, and this is what I tell them. This is our home, whether it be a home that I own or co-host, doesn't matter. This is our home, and our expectation is that when you leave it, it is as clean as when you got there. No, you don't need to make the beds. We're going to handle the sheets and the towels and all the linens, but empty the refrigerator, take out the trash, sweep the floors, not mop. But if you make a mess, clean it up, right? We don't ask our guests to do unreasonable stuff, but for the college kids, I expect them to do a little bit more. And I think part of that is because, if you set that expectations up front, even if they don't do it all, they're going to do the majority of it, right? And one of the things that I did change this year, in the past, I didn't require security deposits for everyone. I did require them for college students, and I was only doing like $250, but there was a few that I didn't get done correctly. This year I had a much better system in place to where every single spring break group, and actually we switched it to every property gets a $500 security deposit going forward. So every group was giving us that security deposit, and there was a couple that ruined some linens, and if it's one or two towels, I'm not, charging anyone, but there was two groups that ruined probably about $150 worth of linens. No biggie. I let them know, sent them pictures of it. I didn't have to go through Airbnb air cover or anything like that. Deducted it from their deposit. They were happy. We still got a 5-star review, gave them a good review. All was good. So changing over to all security deposits for everybody is one of the changes that I did this year. And it particularly was good for me this year because I didn't do that for families in the past. I only did it for the kids that were under 25. and I switched it to everyone. And part of the reason why I switched it for everyone is Airbnb does have a new policy that if you are going to, you can't, have different rules for people that are under 25. It needs to be the same rules across the board. So I just made it blanket across the board. That's what we're doing. $500 security deposit. But the worst guess that I had was a family of 6 who, did, not major damage, but, had a door get damaged and had some dings in the walls, and, the place was left a mess, and food in the fridge and dishes weren't done. And I got an extra cleaning fee of about $200, and we were able to take that security deposit and pay for that cleaning fee. And I had a conversation with the owner or with the guest about it and the reason why we were charging it, and all is good. But that's one of the things that I did differently this year. The second thing that I did differently this year, as far as taking college kids, is besides the security deposit, is making sure that not only does the one person sign the rental agreement, but everybody can be added to the app now, so they can add their friends in the app. And so you're speaking to more than just the host. And we're setting that expectation to everyone and making sure everybody gets to see our rental agreement and what the house rules are. So, those things together really helped us have a much better spring break this year. Now, I'm not telling you that in your business you should accept 18, 19, 20-year-olds. You need to do your business how you do business. I have no problem with that. I know that, some of these college kids can be extremely respectful, and they're still paying the same money. And I want our homes to be taken care of. I want them to be maintained really well, stay clean, but I also want to help the owners make more money. And we were able to crush our March and beat last year's sales when many talked about how they were down. Now, going into shoulder season, which is, a little bit of April, early May, we will still have the same policies. We're still going to have the $500 security deposit. We're still going to, set those expectations if somebody under 25 contacts us, and, and we'll still take those risks. I've been bit once, and it was somebody that I didn't vet. It was a previous property manager that we honored a guest. And last year, that guest did almost $1,700 worth of damage to the house. And, since then, I've been really, really, I can't say I'm threatening these kids, but, that's not the right way. But it's really making sure that they understand, what your expectations are, what my expectations are. And overall, it's been a win. And I've had some really fantastic guests this year. Did they come to our house and party? Yes. Did they come and have a good time? Yes. Did they leave it clean, neat, and organized? For the most part, yes. And, there's always some ups and downs and a few headaches that happen. But I can just say that, this is the third year in a row for us. This year was the best year yet, and we're continuing to learn and grow. So, no matter what your policy is, you got to think about what your goals and your objectives are. And I could have had, instead of an 83% occupancy, I think is what we ended up for the month, I could have had a 60% occupancy and had nothing but families. But it ended up helping us put more money on the bottom line for the owners that we're managing for, and it helped us as a company grow and make more money as well. So that's really what I want to talk about. I know spring break can be a headache. I was, 2 weeks ago, I was ready for it to be over. Because it is, it is a little bit more. You're watching I'm not a camera watcher, but I'm watching the cameras a little bit more during spring break. I'm still a little bit nervous. I'm in the market a little bit more. It is something that I do, take very seriously and not just set it and forget it kind of thing. So I am happy it's over. Don't get me wrong. I'm very happy that it's over and ready for summer booking season, which, summer season is not very far away. We're at early April right now. Easter's coming up in a few weeks, and then summer will be here very quickly. So that's all I got for today. Super quick episode. I hope you guys had a fantastic spring break. If you're looking at your numbers and you saw that you were down in spring break, look at your market as a whole. So when you're talking to your owners and say, hey, we were down 5, 7, 10, 15%, whatever it may be, look at what the market was down. Pull up your Price Labs dashboard. Pull up your information on RankBreeze, pull up any data that you can to show them why. You could even pull up articles that people are boycotting Airbnb right now, because there are some articles out there and some bad publicity on a few things. So, all those things, I'm going to tell you are excuses, but it can justify if you did not have the month that you wanted to have. So try to take the excuses out, look at the data, and see where you can improve as you go into the spring and summer. So that's all I got for today. Thanks for joining the Co-Host Coach, and I will see you next week.